waited for this moment for 2.5 years. Every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes that changes everything. This is how Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone in the year 2007. In this module, I'm going to introduce to you ways to start a presentation and ways to end a presentation, and why end and start are very, very important. So why is the start important? The start is important because that is where the impression is created of who you are as a leader. Your own presence, your leadership presence is decided by the audience at that point in time. And it is also because you are most nervous. But if you're very well prepared how to start, then you will already have dealt with that nervousness right then and there by having prepared the beginning, the start of the session. So prepare the opening well. When you have opened well, then you will already start feeling comfortable and move ahead with your presentation very confidently. Then attention is the highest of the audience at that point in time when they are eager to listen to you. And in the first 3 minutes, their attention is highest, and this is where you can capture their attention and tell them that whatever you are going to share with them is going to be very, very valuable for them. And that is why how you start is crucial. After 3 minutes, the attention of the audience starts waning. So this is when you tell them, you convey to them that whatever you are going to share is going to add tremendous value to the way they do their work or the way they are going to lead their lives. This is where you can engage them emotionally, what is called a hook. So they will be connecting to you heart to heart. You will be talking not only to their intellect but to their emotions. And this is the time to set the direction of the presentation. So what is Steve Jobs doing here when he's saying, I waited for this moment for 2.5 years? And every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything. He is creating a mystery and he's creating a hook so that their audience are now sitting on the edges of their seat waiting to hear about this revolutionary product which is going to reveal. In this module, I will take examples from famous speeches of the world, those that have been compiled in books as the best speeches that have ever come in this world. And I will analyze those speeches for you so that you can see how to start a presentation well and how to end it well. So what is Steve Jobs doing here? He is creating a mystery, he's creating a hook. When George Bernard Shaw addressed an audience talking about philosophers and scientists, this is how he started his talk. His start was like this. Napoleon and other great men were makers of empires. But these 8 men I'm about to mention were makers of universes. And their hands were not stained with the blood of their fellow men. Are you hooked? Would you want to hear me? Would you want to listen to me? Would you want to know about these 8 people who created universes without staining their hands? What is happening here? What is George Bernard Shaw trying to do? Right up front, in the beginning, he's setting the tone. He's going to talk about 8 people who are great men. He considers them greater than empire creators, kings and emperors. He says that they have created universes. He treats them better or greater because they have not tainted their hands with bloodshed. They were not involved in wars or killing of people. That is why he treats them. So this is the central message. He has already introduced the central message that I consider these men great. Then he goes on to talk about 8 of these people, and Newton, Ptolemy, Galileo, ends with his contemporary Einstein. And right up front in the beginning, he's setting the tone, what he's going to talk about. This is the central message that these are the great men I'm going to talk about. So how can you start? How should you start your presentations? There are many ways in which you can start. One is ask them questions, and these questions need to be related to their need, their emotional or intellectual need, something that they would like to accomplish. So, for example, would you like to be a presenter who presents with confidence? Would you like to be a presenter who would be able to connect easily with the audience? Would you like to be a presenter who would like to have the outcome of the presentation in your own hands? So I'm asking questions, but these questions are related to making impactful presentations. The other way to start, you can say, shall I tell you one thing which if you do, you will change forever the way you make presentations? And then go ahead and tell them. Maybe give them a template. So whatever you want to tell them after that. Think about what is the key learning, key outcome for them, what they will be able to do after hearing your presentation, after attending your presentation. So number one, ask questions. Number two, again, tell. So what you are doing is connecting to them. What is their need? That is what you are connecting to. Create a mystery like Steve Jobs did. Every once in a while, a new revolutionary product comes and you haven't told, but you have created that mystery, that secret, which you would want to reveal now. And then you have everyone hooked. This is called a hook. Both what George Bernard Shaw and Steve Jobs are doing are, in the beginning, they are creating a hook wherein the audience is emotionally and intellectually hooked onto what they're going to say next. These are powerful ways to start. There are other ways to start. You can share a joke and you can make them comfortable. But the three ways that I've shared here, these are the most powerful ways to start a presentation. Next, I'm going to share with you what are the do's and don'ts in a presentation. Let me first talk about the don'ts. What people will do is they will go to a room full of people, whether virtual or physical, and they would say good morning loudly. And when the audience does not respond or they respond feebly, they will say, have you had breakfast? If you haven't had breakfast, then only you can speak this way. If you've had breakfast, speak loudly. And then the audience would shout, good morning. And this actually puts the audience off. You want to capture their attention in a more creative way, in a more meaningful way, the ways that I have just shared with you. The other mistake that people make is after lunch presentation. They will go and they'll say, I know that all of you just had a very heavy lunch and you must be feeling sleepy. And it is my task to keep you awake, a daunting task I have. This is not the way to start. Everyone knows, they know that they have had lunch and they're feeling sleepy. This is something you do not want. You don't need to mention it. Capture their attention. You have to account for these contingencies which are that people have had lunch and they're feeling sleepy, or the previous speaker has already bored them to death and they don't want another speaker there. You have to be extra prepared to deal with all these contingencies, all these problems. You have to be prepared. You have to have backups. What do I mean by backups? So supposing you are going to a hall where you are going to present, you would maybe need PowerPoint. So you check it on their system, the audio system, the video system, everything. Be prepared with that. When are we most nervous when presenting? We are most nervous in the beginning of the talk or the presentation. So the start has to be really, really well prepared. You can't go wrong there. And because you're very nervous and the audience's attention is at the maximum at this point in time, they're looking at you, they're judging you. So when you are well prepared, you can have something written also for you and you can read from there, but that is not the best way, but have some notes. It is all right to have a few notes, a few pointers. So just read it before you go on to the stage. Well begun is half done. So that is what you know now. Start well and you would already have won your audience to your side. Now, let me share with you what are some of the do's when you are starting so that you are comfortable, you are well connected to your audience, and you feel very, very confident. First thing, connect with your audience. So when you are going to a hall to deliver, it is a good idea to speak to some of the people who are outside having the tea or some cakes. Just chit chat with them. It makes you comfortable talking to them. And then when you're standing in front of the audience in the auditorium, you will feel less nervous. Make yourself comfortable with the setting, and that also will make you feel confident and you will be able to start off well. Be extra prepared with the starting of your presentation because you are most nervous in these first 2 to 3 minutes. The audience attention is maximum and they're focused on what you're going to say, and that is what makes you nervous. So therefore, at the beginning of your presentation must be prepared very well. You should rehearse it 2 to 3 times so that you are very, very careful. Besides that, also have some backup. Supposing you have decided to start in a certain way, maybe you want to start with a joke and somebody has already shared that joke, then you can't share that joke anymore. So what you need to do is be prepared with some backups of what are the different ways in which you can start. But one sure short way is to introduce to them what you are going to talk about. Tell them, I am going to talk to you about 3 things, and then also be very sure to tell them how these 3 things you're going to talk about are going to benefit them. So in the beginning, you have to bring in what's in it for them. That is a very good start. Because when you're going to start, you're very nervous. One good way to make yourself comfortable in the beginning is to give yourself positive self-talk. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to be very good. I am a good orator. I can speak very well. I'm an excellent presenter. Instead of saying things like, oh my God, why are these people here? Why do I have to do this? No, I am sure that I'm going to forget my lines. If you say these things, actually you're going to forget your lines. Say positive things and then your mind will make it happen for you. Although I keep saying that you must prepare, just before you're going on to the stage, relax. So although I prepare for days when I make my presentations, just 15 minutes before the presentation, I do nothing else. Maybe I'll watch the video of my granddaughter playing so that I can completely relax. Because at that point in time, you want your complete full brain power at your service. Your intellect as well as your emotional part of the brain, your left brain and your right brain. So at that point in time, just 15 minutes before you go onto the stage, relax. Now, how to end a speech. All of you know Martin Luther King's famous I Have a Dream speech. I have a dream that there will be equality in America in some time. So I have a dream, I have a dream. And he connected very deeply at the emotional level with his entire audience of around 1 million people that day. How did he end his speech? Because he wants and is demanding, he's asking the American government to create equality between the blacks and the whites. And that is what he says will be freedom at last. So this is how he ends. He says, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every city and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we'll hear a sound, free at last, free at last. Great God Almighty, we are free at last. What is he doing here? He's saying that the end of black and white discrimination only can mean freedom for America. So they were saying that America is a free country. They have the Statue of Liberty and America is for all free people. But we cannot call it free till the moment there is discrimination. And that is how he ends. He starts with, I have a dream, and he ends with, this is the way we can be free. Again, an emotional connect, and he's ending very powerfully in a very, very powerful way. This is one of the most powerful speeches known to history. Let me share with you another example. When Mahatma Gandhi died, it was a very emotional moment for the entire country. People had followed the footsteps of Mahatma Gandhi to get the freedom of India. When Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated, the entire country was steeped in sadness. When Jawaharlal Nehru addressed the nation, this is how he addressed. And again, this goes down in history as one of the best speeches. In ages to come, centuries and millennia after us, people will think of this generation when this man of God trod on earth, and will think of us who, however small, could also follow his path and tread the holy ground where his feet had been. Let us be worthy of him. What is Jawaharlal Nehru doing? Such an emotional message. At this point in time, he knows that everyone is emotional and he connects with them emotionally. He does say that it is a great loss, but he also reminds them the great honor they had of working with, of being with, of following the footsteps of Mahatma Gandhi. And they had a leader like Mahatma Gandhi with him. They trod and followed the same path, the same land they trod on which Mahatma Gandhi trod. And there is a central message, just as there is a central message in Martin Luther King's speech that we can be free only when there is an end of discrimination. In Jawaharlal Nehru's speech, there is again a clear message, the clear message, let us be worthy of him. Because we are his followers and we are feeling sad at this moment because he has passed away, let us be worthy of him. That is the true tribute that we can pay to Mahatma Gandhi. Why is an ending important? An ending is something which the audience will carry with them when they go out of the meeting, when they leave their presentation. This is something that will ring in their mind, that let us be worthy of him. We'll be free at last. So when you are ending, you have to tell them the central message that you carried through your presentation. I will now share with you some ways in which you can make a good ending. One is you can consolidate everything, whatever you said, sum it up beautifully in 2-3 points, not more than 3. End with a powerful quote, something strong, very powerfully. And you can also ask a very powerful question which they go thinking about, or it can be a call to actions. For example, Jawaharlal Nehru says, let us be worthy of Mahatma Gandhi. Again, the message of Martin Luther King is, let us fight against racial discrimination. Summing up is a very good way. So these people, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, they were sitting on the verge of some historical moments. You and I may not have that opportunity, but we can take the inspiration from these wonderful speakers that we need to work on the ending of our presentation so that we give people a powerful message which they can act upon. So here are some ways in which you need to end. There are certain don'ts and certain do's that I want to talk to you about. Don't end with, do you have any questions, limply. If you want to do that, and ending with a question and answer is a powerful way, but do it with full presence. Let them know that you are there to take all their questions and you will be able to satisfy their queries. When you say, do you have any questions? People will feel like you don't want to answer their questions. You can say, and now I am ready to take any questions that you might have. Don't end on an apologetic note. Sorry, I took too much time there. Sorry, I hope I didn't bore you. Don't do any of that. You have prepared well. You've stood in front of a crowd and you've spoken. You have done a good job. No apologies. And when people are coming and asking you questions or giving you accolades, praising you on the way you took the presentation, don't try to run away. Good ways to end up. One is a question and answer, or you can give a quiz, even to people who might be your prospective clients or customers, even to committee members. Make it something fun and interesting, which they would like to participate in. Don't make it feel like you are giving an examination to them, but think how you can make it interesting for them. So for example, I say, if you're going to present your product of housing loan to a group of people, ask them, maybe you can show them competitors' rates and ask them, okay, what is their rate? What is our rate? What is one benefit that we are giving? Something, and do it in an interesting way. Give away prizes so that it is all gamified and they enjoy it. Another way is to sum up, and as I've said, end with a powerful quote or create a quote of your own, and at the end feel like you have done a good job. You have indeed, because you have stood in front of a crowd. It is one of the greatest fear that people feel. You have stood there, you have delivered your message, you have kept them engaged. So feel like you have done a good job. Remember that the start of a presentation and the end of a presentation, this is what remains in people's mind. When you are starting, you capture their attention. When you are ending, this is what they carry. So rehearse the starting and the end really well, and you would have done more than half of the work of your presentation.